Sup, Nerdmigos, with the Jive Talking Nerd, John Nordgrove. We've got Wife here. We're here for another review, Jive. So we watched the movie Mandy. Now, technically, we watched the first half of the movie twice. Because we watched half of the movie, and then it was real late, and we're like, oh, we'll finish watching it.
oh my god, there's still 2 hours left, and then we were like, we can't handle this tonight.
So we didn't finish it, and that was like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then so like yesterday, like last night, we're just like, oh, we're just gonna watch this movie. So we watched the whole thing through. This movie's it's only 2 hours long, but listen, it feels like it's 3.
Yeah. It does.
It's a long movie, and
that way.
That's not a bad thing, because I fucking love this movie. But let me read the thing.
How many minutes is this movie?
It says it's 2 hours and 1 minute, although I swear to God it's longer than that.
I feel like it's longer than that, but okay.
Whatever, yeah. In the Pacific Northwest in 1983, outsiders Red Miller and Mandy Bloom lead a loving and peaceful existence when their pine-scented haven is savagely destroyed by a cult led by the sadistic Jeremiah Sand. Red is catapulted into a phantasmagoric journey filled with bloody vengeance and laced with deadly fire.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting way to describe this.
That's a really
but not
arty
entirely
way of...
incorrect.
No, yeah, okay. Reading that, I was just like, what the fuck? So this is starring Nicolas Cage. He plays Red. Nick Cage. Andrea... Riseborough plays Mandy. Linus Roach plays Jeremiah Sand. Bill Duke is in this. He plays Carthurs. So the plot of this movie is that Nicolas Cage and his wife are like rock and roll,
like metalheads that live in the middle of the woods.
They're like living in the woods, listening to metal, like painting art.
I mean, that sounds
doing drugs, drinking. It's very similar to my life.
Weirdly familiar to what we do.
So, and we don't know what either of them do, how they have money, none of that.
It's not important.
So they're like a nice happy couple. They have a couple of weird fucking conversations. There's a lot of weird trippy shit.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie, dude. All right, so they're a nice happy couple. At one point in time, the wife is like walking to the store or to get the trash or something. She's walking to some stuff. Anywho, so she's walking to a place, right? And the like hippie cult van drives by, and this Jeremiah cat sees her, right? And then he's in, I don't know, he has the vapors or some shit, and so he's like, go get her. So he's the head of some weird cult. He tells this old guy, go get her. The old guy's just like, yes. He's very Igor-y. He's just like, yeah.
Yeah, he's super Igor-y.
Right. So he gets out like a
lava rock.
Well, it looks like an ocarina, right?
Yeah, it's like a lava rock.
It's just like it's like a weird like green lava rock ocarina thing. And like when he pulls it out, the lights are like flashing green stuff. A lot of flashing lights. A lot of 70s filmmaking styles in this. So he takes the rock and he goes to the top of a hill and summons
what we're assuming is like the 4 horsemen.
They're like some metal biker monsters.
Are there only 3?
I think there's only 3 of them.
I think there's only 3.
Yeah.
It's like the 4 horsemen, they're just like missing one.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're just like weird monster people with like they're covered in spikes and leather and shit.
Yeah.
And
like they're sort of vaguely like slimy looking.
Yeah, they're all like slimy. There's a lot of slimy shit. There's a lot of weird shit in this movie. So anyway, so he summons them. He's like, go take this chick. We want her. And you can kill the fat one. So they just sacrifice one of their fat guys to the demons. Yeah. And so they break into the house, all spoopy ghost metal motorcycle rider thing. And that's insane sounding, but it's not wrong. So they swoop into the house and they kidnap her and they just like beat in his head a little bit with the butt of a gun. Yeah. So he's a little dead or whatever. And they take the fat kid, everybody aways, right? So the chick shows up. They bag her, take her into this house, have her tied to a chair, and they're like, all right, honey, like, the high priest man super loves you, so welcome to that shit. gives her a couple of drops of acid in the eye, not like the kind of burny acid, but like LSD.
Like LSD in the eyeball.
In the eyeball, like a good amount, like
a giant wasp, guys.
She pulls a wasp out of
a mason jar
of like gloop.
But it's like a mason jar, guys.
Oh, the wasp
and then
is
the
like
wasp,
this fucking big.
It fills the entire mason jar.
Yeah, she uses like tongs.
Pulls it with tongs out of this mason
it has this,
jar.
Like, huge
stinger, and then it has her
gets
stinger
her
in the neck, and she's like, "That's what I call the cherry on top."
Yeah,
and then
super weird.
And then so Mandy,
she immediately is
like
on another planet LSD trip, right? And so they take her in to see the master, and everybody's like lounging on these couches, and he's just like zim zam, like hippie.
He's wearing like a very
stuff.
Weird like
sci-fi robe. It's like a robe, but with like big shoulder things.
Yeah, robe. Yeah,
and,
sci-fi 1970s.
So he's like I'm gonna put on some music. So he puts on some music, and he's just like, yeah, like
he's like, do you like the Carpenters?
Isn't this the best? Because she's just like, oh, is this your music? And he's like, yeah, I'm the best, whatever the fuck, right? And so he takes his robe off, and
he's all naked.
And he's all naked.
So you get like
this is
full
an adult.
schlong.
Oh yeah, it's just like dong. And he's just like, like we all gotta love each other,
like, come
whatever.
Love me,
because it's like a sex cult.
Yeah,
but there's like a lot of dudes in it. I don't know.
It's very strange.
It's weird.
Not really sure.
Also, I don't really think he's having sex with any of these people. Like it feels like a sex cult, but nobody's having sex.
Well, he's definitely having sex with the old lady.
With the old lady and with the young girl.
We only know for sure the old lady.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird sex cult.
So he's like, let's have sex.
So he's like, let's have sex, and she starts laughing at him, like aggressively,
full on cackles, and it starts
great.
with her laughing at him, and he's getting angry, and while he's doing it, he's like, like even more angry now.
Yeah, it's so absurd.
And she, like, the angrier he gets, the more she crescendos into angry cackling, like, at him.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very intense cackling.
Yeah, right. So then he's like, so whatever, that scene happens, and then our main character, Red, wakes up. Nick Cage. He wakes up. Okay, so he wakes up. He gets out. He does some cocaine, and then he does some drinking, and then he does some weird toilet, crying on the toilet. Yeah, right. And then he goes to his friend's house to collect his old crossbow. So
before he does all those drugs, they brutally kill Mandy in front of him.
No. This is before that killing.
No, this is after.
That would mean that, okay, so then
she does the thing. They're like, because
so they bob wire him to a cross, and then they put her in a bag and set her on fire and burn her to death.
While he watches,
and then they just like fuck off.
And then he escapes.
So
and then drugs.
He pulls
and drinking.
He pulls his hands out of the barbed wire.
Yeah.
And then like unwraps it around his mouth and whatever the heck. And then he does some cocaine about it, and then some drinking about it, and then some crazy toilet laughing about it.
Yeah.
And then he goes to his friend's house and he gets his old crossbow and then some other stuff.
And then
I don't know, like
they
a gun or
decide
something.
to go like forge like a battle, like a fantasy style
Nick
battle
Cage
axe
forges
weapon.
a battle axe. And then they find where also, the demon guys live.
Nicolas Cage might understand how to forge stuff, the level that this was taking.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot of detail in all this. We're jumping. We're moving quickly through this, right? So then they find out where the three horsemen of the Gloopocalypse live.
So then he goes,
and so he murders those guys,
the Gloop biker guys,
which is insane. He murders them in the most insane ways. Everything about this movie is whatever I'm saying and you're thinking, it's not insane enough.
It's definitely weirder.
It's more insane
and
than
it's got like a 70s grindhouse treatment to the way it's shot.
And it's super like bloody and it's super
very gory,
just crazy.
Lots of like car shots.
And then he finds a jar. Okay, so he murders these three like faceless slime leather spike demon
people.
Bikers, whatever, right? So he murders three of those things. One of them like just covering him, he's just covered in blood.
Yeah, he's just covered in gore at this point.
So
Nicolas
and then
Cage.
he goes into their kitchen, which is gross.
Yeah.
By the way. and there's just a mason jar of what looks like, sort of like sludge.
But it's like sort of...
Like slimy, like
milky
old
looking?
gravy. Like old gray, thick gravy. And he unscrews the lid of this jar, and then he dips his finger in this jar and puts it on his tongue because he thought that this was okay. And he goes full demon. It's just like raging fire and like horns and car lights and motorcycles and like guitar riffs and just like fire and just like it's just fucking 30 seconds of crazy demon shit. And then of course he just like screws the lid back on, and that's just a scene it's just a scene that exists. Yeah.
So then he goes,
I don't know if it makes him
from
crazier.
there to basically what felt like a gatekeeper kind of guy who has like a tiger in a cage. He creates the acid for the sex cult people as well as probably this hallucinogenic gloop. And then he has to basically get past this guy to move to the next level of the movie, which is then also, hunting down.
He doesn't go to a gatekeeper. That implies there was some form of logical travel here. He was in a trailer. And then the next scene is in an all-black space that moves on for infinity with some, like, halogen lights up, and then just, like, a table with, like, some chemistry stuff, because I don't know how you make acid, but apparently some chemistry stuff, right? And then, like, a tiger in a cage over there, and just, like, an old guy, and there's some bugs on the ground, and that's it.
Yeah,
like,
and you don't know...
fucking...
Yeah, you don't really know what about it is hallucinations or not.
Yeah.
But basically, Nick Cage leaves that level and moves on to the next level, which is essentially hunting down the remaining members of this sex cult.
So he breaks into a quarry, and then he murders some of these people, and then he goes into, like, it's like a little shed that has, like, a tunnel, right? So he goes into that thing... Right? It's underneath the church, right? And he goes into that thing and he murders some tunnel people. And then he goes into, like, the main chamber, which is with the main guy. Jeremiah. And then, you know, he murders those people. And then he goes to another place that I don't know if it was underground or not. That's not made clear. And he murders those people. And then he gets in his car and he drives away.
Yeah, so this movie is basically like...
the end of this movie is so 70s because you're just like... You know, I didn't hear a siren this whole movie.
Yeah.
This is a weird movie.
So this is basically like a revenge movie.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely that. But interspersed throughout the whole movie, and this is something we haven't talked about yet, are very interesting, like, animated...
Dream sequences. They're dream sequences.
But they're not always dreams.
Yeah, I think those are always when he's asleep.
We don't really know for sure.
Yeah, but that's not clear.
There's a whole bunch of these like really cool animated sequences. One of them is at the very end. There's a few others interspersed throughout the movie, and it's very much like in a way he's having a psychotic break, and it's connecting him to the animated universe of heavy metal. As a matter of fact, I feel like this whole movie could be like a heavy metal novella universe, or within that universe. Yeah. It's very grindhouse revenge, but also with the air of fantasy and good versus evil that heavy metal really picks up on.
It's very like 70s, 80s. It's very like music video, rock and roll. Like it has a killer soundtrack.
Yeah, it did.
Its set design is like very like everything's really tight. Everything's really good looking.
Yeah.
Like every shot looks like it matters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of playing with colors.
Yeah.
And like what look like film effects, where you're having like shadows on like in the filming and whatever. So it really has this very like the movie feels like it's making you go through this like acid trip.
And the movie does
it's a very acid trippy
on
movie.
A very interesting level of uncomfortable. There's a lot of uncomfortable things that happen, a lot of weird things that happen, but nothing really like pushes it over the edge into like
jump
some other areas. Yeah.
It's not this really is like psychological thriller.
Yeah, this is not what I would consider necessarily a horror movie.
I wouldn't
definitely
call it traditional
like
horror,
a thriller,
but
like a psychological thriller in that
It's
vein,
certainly got
for
like demons and like drugs and like
I would put this
shit.
movie most similar to, like, The Cell.
Yeah.
It's very much in some ways like The Cell.
Yeah.
But with
better.
way different graphics. And with Nicolas Cage, which makes it fantastic.
Nicolas Cage does everybody does a fantastic job in this. Jeremiah is creepy as shit.
Yeah.
But Nicolas Cage
also, like, kudos to whoever plays Jeremiah for just being, like, full on,
just like
full frontal nudity.
Dong.
Just, like, not even, like, hard, just like hanging
soft
out.
Dong. Yeah, good for him, man.
Like, good for you, dude.
Ballsy.
That is a level of self-confidence that is, maybe that guy does have a secret sex cult.
Everybody should aspire to, certainly.
But this was a fantastic movie.
It was such a great movie.
I really enjoyed it. The first hour seemed to drag on a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird setup, but I feel like...
But in watching it all the way through...
what it does is... I think that this movie does a lot with, like, speed, right? The beginning of the movie really sets this, like, calm... It's a very calm, like, peaceful, like, dulcet tone, golden light sort of a situation. And as the movie progresses, it gets, like, increasingly more, like, heavy metal, like, flashing lights... loud, fast noises, kind of a thing, and so the movie really feels like it's ramping you up. It's cinematographically, it's great. The soundtrack is great. All the acting is great. The story is great. I mean, this is really like a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it really is. You really get the payoff in the second half of the movie from what feels like a very drawn out and boring and often confusing first half of the movie.
It's certainly a confusing first half.
It is a confusing half.
Certainly.
Honestly, when I was a kid, I read Jurassic Park a whole bunch of times. I was really into Jurassic Park, the book, and the movie. But one thing that I would do is the beginning half of that book is all very, like, science-y, technical stuff, and I just wanted to get to dinosaurs. So I would just, like, skip to the second half of the book and read that. And honestly, I feel like I would be pretty content with doing that with this movie, too. Just skipping to the second half and watching from the second half.
You gotta watch the whole thing. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah. Also, who doesn't like the science stuff? What's wrong with you?
Sometimes it was boring and I just wanted dinosaurs.
Fucking normies. Either
way, this was a fantastic movie. We watched this on Shudder.
Yes.
I would absolutely watch this again. I would definitely give this, like, a 4 out of 5. Only because the first half was uncomfortable as well as I felt like dragging on and boring. So that's why I would take 1 point off. Otherwise, this is a solid
I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 5. This is easily one of my favorite movies of 2020 and certainly is going to be one of these movies that I like to watch again and again.
Yeah.
This movie was fantastic. I liked how slow and weird the beginning is. I think it set a tone for this movie that really got you more into the psychology of what's going on. The movie felt very, like, visceral. The way that it was shot and the way that everything was so stylized, it really... I think it's the kind of movie that you're supposed to watch more than once before you really understand what the fuck is going on. I think we'll
definitely get more out of it watching it again all the way through.
Yeah, I think so. And I do look forward to watching it again. And to be honest, man, I'm loving this crazy Nick Cage horror movie thing. I'm loving this Lovecraftian
Nick Cage horror stuff.
Nick Cage Lovecraft is maybe the best pairing of all time.
It is the best relationship of 2020.
It's the best relationship of 2020. Dude, oh my god, it's so fucking good. Holy shit. So yeah, dude, get yourself a dose of crazy Nick Cage and watch Mandy. This is a fucking great movie. Either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Ring the bell, bop the thing. This is Review Jive. This is for the movie Mandy. And we'll catch you guys for the next one.